In this video, we're looking at finding the percent of a number. So the first thing that we have to remember is what percentage means. If we have a percentage, that means that something is out of 100 or divided by 100. Okay, so that's an important thing to remember. So if I get 16 out of 20 on my test, and I want to calculate what percentage it is, what I usually do is I take 16 and I put it out of my total of 20 marks, and I say, okay, I want to make an equivalent fraction or ratio, but now I want my total to be out of 100 because it needs to be a percentage. Then I ask myself, what do I have to multiply 20 by to get 100? Well, 100 divided by 20 is 5. So if I multiply 20 by 5, I get 100. And because these ratios have to be equivalent, I multiply the numerator by 5 as well. And 16 times 5 is 80. So the percentage on the test was 80%. So really all we're doing with any of these questions is changing what the total is. It was out of 20, and now we want to know what it is out of 100. There's another way that we can do this. We can also remember that 16 out of 20 is the same as saying 16 divided by 20. So this line here means divide by, okay? So on our calculator, we can do 16 divided by 20, and then we want it to be a percentage. So we want our new total to be 100. So we're going to multiply it by 100 when we're done. We're going to get 0.8 times 100. And if I take that decimal place from where it is, and I multiply it by 100, I have to move over the decimal 2 spots to the right and fill in an extra 0. So that is going to be 80%. Okay, so either method works great. All right, now I'm going to work backwards. If I get 75% on a test, how many marks was that out of 60? So again, I'm just changing my total. This time I'm changing my total from 75 out of 100, because I know this percentage symbol means that it's out of 100. And I want to know what my mark was out of 60. How many correct answers out of 60 total? So I can't just cut 100 in half. If it was out of 50, I could. So what I have to do is take the old total, which is out of 100, and divide it by the new total, which is out of 60. So the bigger one divided by the smaller number in the denominator. And I end up with kind of not a very nice number. So I end up having to divide 100 by 1.666 repeated. Okay, it goes on forever. You don't want to round this because then that's going to round your answer as well. So I did say divide because I'm going from a bigger number this time to a smaller number in the denominator. And if I'm dividing 100 by 1.666 repeated, I have to do the same to the top. So I'm going to take 75 and divide it by 1.66666. And you want to use a lot of sixes, or you want to leave that number stored on your calculator, okay? Either way works, but you don't want to do any rounding until the very end. So I ended up with 45 marks out of 60. So 45 marks out of 60. Okay. This is the same type of question if I asked you to find 20% of 30. Maybe that's talking about marks. So maybe I got 20 out of 100 wrong out of 30. So how many did I get wrong out of 30? Or maybe I'm talking about 30 people and 20% of them speak a second language. So how many people speak another language out of the 30 people there? Okay, so we can change the context to whatever we want, but it's the same calculation that we were just doing. Okay, so we're going to do 20 out of 100, because again, the percentage symbol means divide by 100 or out of 100, and we're going to say equals something, some number, out of 30. So we're going to try and figure out what number out of 30. So how many people of 30 speak French, or how many wrong did I get out of 30 if I got 20%? Okay, so again, this is not a nice number that we're going to be dealing with here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the bigger denominator 100 and divide it by the smaller denominator 30. And we end up with 3.33333. So we're dividing by 3.3333 repeated. And we want to keep all those numbers or keep that number stored in our calculator. If that's how we're changing the denominator, the same thing has to happen to the numerator, sorry. So we're going to take 20 and divide it by 3.333333, and we end up with 6 out of 30. So 6 out of 30 people speak French, or if I made 6 arrows out of 30, that would be 20% error. Okay? All right, so that's the one method. The other method I could also use with those that we saw in the first question is to take 20 and divide it by 100, because that little line, that fraction line, means divide, and then multiply it by the new total we're looking for, so out of 30, so times 30. The word of always means times in math, okay? And the little line here means divide. Okay, so we're going to type that into our calculator. Or what you can do is, if you're dividing by 100, you take your decimal at the end of your whole number and you just move it 2 spots over. So 0.2 out of 100 times 30. Okay, so we're just moving that decimal 2 spots over because we had 2 zeros in the denominator. And then 0.2 times 30, if you type that in, we get 6. Okay, so 6 out of 30. And you can check that if you want to type that in. 6 divided by 30 should give you 0.2, which is 20%. Okay, so either method that you would like to use would work perfectly there. Okay, whatever makes more sense to you. Finally, we have this pair of jeans, and they cost $99.99, and they're on sale for 30% off. What's the total price of the jeans with tax? So there's lots of steps here. So first of all, we want to know, how much did we save? Okay, so our pair of jeans was $99.99, and we saved 30%. So we could do times, because we saw that we want 30% of $99.99. So we can do times 30 out of 100, because percentage means out of 100. That's one method. Or if I wanted, I could write it as something out of $99.99. So this is going to be your savings out of $99.99, has to be equivalent to 30 out of 100. Okay? And you might say that number is going to be really close, and it will be, but we should just still test it out. So this should be probably about 1. So this number also needs to be multiplied by about 1. So it's probably about $30, but let's check it out. Okay, with our other method. So we're going to do $99.99, so almost $100, times 30 divided by 100. So we end up with 29.997, but of course we aren't going to pay 99 7/10 cents. So we are going to take this and we are going to round it. That 7 bumps the 9, that 9 bumps up again, and the whole number is going to bump up to $30 if we're talking about money. Okay, so I'll just put in brackets. That was $29.99.7 or dollars, sorry. Okay, so you do have to do a bit of rounding there. Okay, so either method works there nicely, and you might just assume that it's $30 because it's $99.99, but it's a good idea to check. Okay, now what we need to do is figure out how much the sale price is, because that's how much we just saved. So we saved $30. So what we're going to do is we're going to take $99.99 and subtract what we saved. So the original price minus the discount. So we saved $30. Okay, well, 100 minus 30 is going to give us $70. So we have $70 and $70, and we're going to take away one extra penny from that because we started at $99.99. So that would be $69.99. Okay, so 700 minus 30, it should be approximately $70, but there was 1 cent less than that, so $69.99. So that's our sale price. And finally, we are going to be adding the tax. It asks for the tax. So for tax, we're going to do 13%. Okay, so tax, you're going to take $69.99, which was your sale price. You always add the tax on after you did the discount. And we're going to multiply it by 0.13. This is the same as 13 divided by 100, okay? Or 0.13 is the tax is a decimal. Either way, if you want to write 13 out of 100 because you're more comfortable, that's totally fine as well. So 13 divided by 100 and times $69.99 because we want 13% of $69.99, okay? So here we go. We've got 13 divided by 100. If you want to write that first, you can, or second, it doesn't matter. And we need to multiply that by $69.99. So that's going to be approximately, we get 9.0987. That's, of course, going to round up to $9.10 because this number is above 5, and it's going to bump that up. So 9 goes up to 10. Okay, so $9.10 is the tax. And then our final price, or our total price, is going to be $69.99. So the sale price plus the tax, so $9.10. So $69.99 plus $9.10. So we end up with $79.09 for that pair of jeans.